Friends, today's video is specifically around paid advertising and getting you to ask some powerful questions and really think about what are you really looking for with the marketing dollars you're spending, with the advertising dollars you're spending. And I want you to think about, as you're observing some of these just amazing colors all around here, like I'm staring into the sun to give you guys a look at that. That red is so amazing. And as you're checking out all these colors as we're going on a journey today, I want you thinking about your advertising budget and what your real goal is, what your outcome is. And most people I would ask this, my coaching clients, my teammates, you know, what is your goal of the advertising money that you're spending right now? And most of the time they're gonna say to get in more leads, to get in more sales, to get a certain cost of those sales or those leads. And that is a part of it, but that's not the number one thing. And this is the difference between someone who makes 5 or 10 grand a month and someone who makes 50 or 100,000 or a couple million per month. And the difference is that the person, now ask yourself, would you rather model someone who is making 5 or 10,000 a month or is making tens or hundreds of thousands per month or even millions? And so here's what it is. It's a shift in thinking around what the purpose of advertising dollars are. There's always an end goal of creating sales. And in fact, I'll throw in a little bonus nugget for you here in the next few minutes. But before we get there, here's what the big aha, the big mindset that I want you to think about for today's video. And my apologies, the light's gonna be all changing colors. I'm trying to stay out of the shadows. But it's just like life. You're gonna see perspectives change. You're gonna see all the colors change, just like your mindset's just about to change when I share this with you. If you choose to take this on, I challenge you to let this sink into your heart and into your unconscious mind. So here's the difference. Here's how a 7, 8, 9-figure earner thinks about their advertising money. And what it is that they are spending the money not to get leads or sales. They know that's a subset that comes down the road, but that's not their primary objective. Their objective is to get data coming back in. And here's what I mean by that. That for every dollar that's spent, you're getting feedback out there. And so the more money you're spending on advertising, the faster you're spending it, the more lessons you're learning, as long as you're applying and looking at the data. And we're gonna do a little flip here. You know what else? I'm also, check this out, if I walk on all these leaves, then when I'm talking, you're like here. So we're gonna even stay off of all that. So what I want you thinking about is, what does that really mean when we go for the objective? Now I gotta hold you up here so you can see better. So the objective of going to get data and feedback versus going for just some leads or just some sales. So what happens is that you're always getting feedback, and all of life is around course correction. Everything's feedback, whether it's you're getting a bunch of like negative comments on ads, you're not getting any responses, you're not getting any leads, you're getting the lowest cost leads of your life but nobody's purchasing, or ultimately you have the best back end amount of sales, because that's really where all the money is made in any kind of funnel online anyway. And so, and my apologies for this lighting, this like half, you can see like half my face, it's like the worst lighting ever. But you're gonna have fun with it, because the important thing are these lessons that if you go in just to get data, you can realize, I'm gonna find a shady spot here and we're gonna like park there instead of walk. So you can, if you're looking for the data, what you do is grab that information and you can use that to make things better. And it really comes down to like Pareto's principle, the 80-20 principle. Let's see, where can you get a good view here? Kind of like that's pretty cool. You probably can't quite see the mountains. I don't know if I can make it see back there, but mountains of Colorado, Rocky Mountains are right back there. So here's how this works. The more money you spend, the more data and feedback you get. And you use that, here's the trick. You have to use that to course correct. Not just use it to like beat yourself up to say this doesn't work, I don't work, advertising doesn't work. I mean, those people don't even make 5 or 10 grand a month. They just burn out and like leave the game. But the difference is someone who's just constantly focused on, can I get my leads lower cost? Can I get my sales lower cost? That's all well and great. But the real magic is realizing, not having this sense of like, I have to make this money right now. And I'm not knocking like you having an intention to create an amazing profit in your business. What I'm sharing is that the biggest level players, they're investing their money for feedback. They're getting data. That's what they're doing. Because when you get the data and then you start looking at it, you can realize, wow, my ads totally don't work with these specific marketplaces I'm trying in. Like if you're in Facebook ads, most of you are on Facebook or you've tried it somewhere in the past. And if you think about like, oh, my relevancy scores were 5s and 6s and 7s, and maybe you've never even checked your relevancy score. That's one piece of feedback around a certain ad about how effective that particular message was with that particular audience that you got the relevancy score in. Sometimes it was too wide of an audience. Sometimes it was too narrow. And so if you're always looking for the feedback, what happens is that, and you're course correcting on it. So if you're always looking for feedback and course correcting on it, what happens is that you're able to take those dollars, and they will always, as the subset of it is that they will always improve if you're course correcting. So what happens is that your leads do get better cost, or really what will really happen is that your back end sales will be much more profitable for the amount of money you're spending on ads. That should really be your number one goal. And that ties into that little sub principle that I mentioned a few minutes ago, is that what you really want to be advertising for, it's not to get leads, it's not to get a certain cost leads at all. You need to look at where the sales are. How much is each sale costing you? And ultimately, even more important than just a sale, how much is a back-end sale costing you? How much is bringing in like a leader into your business? Let me put it this way. You could go out and get 5, back-end sales, make, $1,000, $3,000, $4,000 unless you're selling something where you make like $50 or something like that. And you can adjust your numbers accordingly. I don't recommend the lower ticket stuff, but let's say you're making, let's just round it. Let's say $2,000 per sale. You could go out and get 5 sales for that. And let's say you make, 2,000 times 5, that's $10,000. Or let's say you're in some kind of a direct sales network marketing, a two or more tier affiliate type of program, and you're attracting in leaders, and you bring one leader in that ends up going out and they bring in 100 sales over the next year, and you get, let's say you only make like 500 on their sales instead of the 2,000 you normally make, but because you got that one leader in, you would want to trade them all day long. Because what's 100 times the $500 you get? It's 50,000 instead of 10,000. It's a 5 times 500% more money, bigger increase, because you're focused on the type of person you're bringing in versus just getting another sale. Now that's like the highest level of thinking. That's 7-8 figure type of plays that I'm sharing with you there. I would encourage you that unless you're already making 20, 50 grand a month, way more than 10 grand a month, I wouldn't even worry about that. But that's an example. I want to get you stretching your mind to where you can grow to. And so as you're growing in your business and wherever you're at, whether you've like never even got your first lead or even your first sale, I want you thinking about like how to think at a bigger level, not just going for, hey, I want to get the best cost leads I've ever got. I've played that game, and typically your very best leads that are going to end up making you the most money over the next 6 and 12 months, they're not going to be your leads you're going to get for 50 cents or $1. They're going to be leads you're going to get for $4, $5, $10, even $20. But when you look at all the numbers and you figure it all out, it's not going to be the difference between the 10,000 and the 50,000 that I mentioned. All of this stuff compounds significantly, and you could end up paying 5 to 10 times more cost up front to get you 20, 50, 100 times more money in the back end. But that's why you have to realize, like, that first of all, it's why you have to be committed. It's why you have to be here long term. And that's why I want you thinking about, like, what are your real outcomes here? Are you here just to make a little bit of money in the next like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks? Or are you here literally running a multi-million-dollar business and you're committed to this, and in a year from now, you are going to have significantly higher profits than today, and not some pipe dream. You're like literally going at that, and it's your intention in your mind, and that's what you're driving for. So that's what this whole, so to summarize all of this is that when you're paying for advertisements in any type of business, what your real goal is, it's not just the leads. It's really ultimately what your sales. So forget about lead costs, really design who you're trying to attract in, who you're building this business for, and really start looking at the numbers of getting in sales. And if the bigger way back end sales are too far out for you, or like you haven't made enough of those, or like, it's totally fine. Dial that back and say, okay, what if I just look at like lead costs versus just my front end sales? Maybe you make $10, maybe you make $30, maybe you make $100 on your front end sales. And so just start with those. And then as you're cranking in those and those become a very consistent thing, that's when you can start comparing, instead of leads to your front end sales, you can start comparing your front end sales to your back end sales. And you start thinking at a higher and higher level, bigger picture. Here's the difference between a 7, 8, 9 figure earner versus like a 4, 5, 6 figure earner. The difference is the 4, 5, 6 figure earner will go and they're trying to make money. They're thinking about the next 30 days of their life. They're living paycheck to paycheck, which is 95, 98% of this entire planet is that type of thinking. So you can self-select and graduate into the top few percentile by simply shifting your mind and being like, dude, I'm playing the game over the next 90 days, 180 days, over the next 12 months, over the next multiple years. And the further time frame you start thinking out, the higher level of entrepreneurship you're starting to play at in terms of profit and long-term and longevity, and really ultimately where the most leverage is. For every dollar you're putting in up front, what is it turning into in the coming years? So that is what this message was all about today. Hope you enjoy this. We'll see you real soon.